No DQ Galaxy. We are live with the NoDQ.com recap of Friday Night Smackdown for April the 8th, 2022, coming off the most stupendous WrestleMania of all time. Everybody loves No DQ, and any negative comments about No DQ you see out there, well, I've done some independent research and I can determine that they're all trolls, they're all bots. Everybody loves No DQ, just like everybody loves Raymond. No DQ is very much beloved from people all over the world. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get right into this recap. We had footage shown from WrestleMania, basically the same video package that was used on Monday Night Raw. We had Ronda Rousey come down to the ring for a promo. She was interviewed by Kayla Braxton. More footage was shown from WrestleMania, and Ronda had some piped-in cheers again, but really the crowd was just not that interested. You could tell they really did not care much about Ronda. And this was a rough promo, not a good Ronda Rousey promo whatsoever. She really needs a manager. Virtue mentioned this on Twitter, and I agree with him 100%. Ronda Rousey needs a mouthpiece badly. She said she wants a rematch with Charlotte Flair. She said, yes, she did not get the job done when it counted, but she wants her rematch with no loopholes and no excuses. She said that she wants an I Quit match. Charlotte appeared on the Titantron, said quitting is not in her DNA, but winning is. However, she denied the challenge for an I Quit match and told Ronda Rousey to get in the back of the line, bitch. Ronda Rousey responded by saying that the fight will happen, and Charlotte will not only say I quit, but Charlotte will scream I quit. Yeah, it was not a very good promo. Basically, that's the gist of it. And we're probably going to see this match at WrestleMania Backlash. Not really a surprise or anything. We had our first match of the evening, which was Xavier Woods, who was no longer a king. He is back to being just Xavier Woods against Butch, who is no longer Pete Dunne. He is just Butch. He had Bitch and Botch with him on the outside of the ring, a.k.a. Sheamus and Ridge Holland. New Day cut a little promo coming down to the ring. And they said that since WrestleMania is the season finale of WWE, all the records are reset. And as far as they're concerned, it's 0-0. We had our match. Pat McAfee almost screwed up. Well, he started to say Pete, but stopped himself before saying done. Basically, Butch worked over Xavier Woods, pretty much dominated the match, did the joint manipulation, stomped on the elbow, suplexed Xavier on the apron, and eventually Xavier, out of nowhere, rolled him up, small package, got the 1-2-3 victory. As Pat McAfee puts it, the backwoods is how Xavier Woods picked up the victory. My man, Hamp Connell, sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, you might as well get ready for me to rant because I don't know who is writing this dog poop. Ouch. Hamp Connell, not a fan of this show. Judging by the chat room comments so far, I feel like I probably liked SmackDown more than most. Anyways, kind of sucks that Butch lost his first match. Xavier Woods kind of sucks that he's no longer a king. And on top of that, they got rid of his cool music. He has the crappy New Day music. I guess it's not crappy, but I liked the King Xavier music. I'm kind of bummed. And then after the match, Butch and Botch were fighting with each other, and Bitch had to settle things down. And I guess it's back to the drawing board for those guys. They live to fight another day. Match was fine, but again, I feel like Butch needed a win and Xavier should be the king. It was fun. He had some cool music. Moving on here, we had Sami Zayn backstage with Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, and Zayn said that he wanted an anything goes match, not an everybody is welcome match. Now he's a laughing stock. He wants his respect back, and he said the next person that walks through the locker room door, he wants to fight. Turns out it was Drew McIntyre. And Pearce said the match is official. Of course, Sami was trying to back out of it, but Pearce said, nope, match is going to happen. And then afterwards, Pearce got this mysterious note. I guess we'll see what that's all about in the near future. We then had the main roster debut of Ludwig Kaiser. Name not sound familiar? Well, it is Marcel Barthel, formerly of Imperium, but he is still with the leader of Imperium, who is now officially on SmackDown, Gunther, whatever the hell his name is, Walter. Gunther is now on SmackDown, officially part of the main roster. I say it's about time, but man, I wish he had his old name, his old music, although I think they changed the music again. I do not think it's the same song. Maybe I'm wrong, but it sounded different from the music he was using at Stand and Deliver and over the past few weeks. I actually thought it was a little better than the last theme. Not as good as his original theme, but it was okay. And he won a squash match, which I'm cool with that. I'm all for squash matches every now and then. And the crowd was chanting Walter, which was a funny moment because Pat McAfee said that they were chanting Gunther, whatever. Anyways, Gunther won, hit the power bomb into the pin. This was fine, and people were talking about the name for Marcel Barthel, but you know what? Ludwig Kaiser, I'm fine with it. Not really a bad name, in my opinion. Unnecessary name change, but you know how it is in WWE. They have to change the names. They want to trademark the names and own the names, whatever. Why not just start them from the beginning with a name you want to use long term? How about that? Like when he debuted, give him that name. Why change it so long into their tenure is what is confusing. And also, what about Fabian Eichner? Apparently, he is still going to be on NXT for the time being, but I remember a couple months ago, one of those big shows, I'm not sure if it was the Vengeance Day or New Year's Evil or War Games, one of those shows, somebody helped me in the chat, there was a tag match with Imperium, and Fabian Eichner was awesome. And I thought that was like a breakthrough performance for him. I was thinking this guy could go to the main roster and be something special. Where is Fabian Eichner? Like, I want to see that guy on the main roster. And a little sad that they broke up Imperium. Like, it'd be cool to have Imperium as a trio. Why not Fabian Eichner as well? I'm a little confused about that, but we'll see. Walter's getting the big push up to this point. They're booking him like a monster. You know, he's 6'4". They brought up his height, and he had a good showing. So far, so good. We'll see if the momentum continues for him or if it fades out relatively soon. Speaking of people being called up to the main roster, we had Raquel Gonzalez cut a backstage promo for her first appearance on SmackDown. And she also has a new name. She is Raquel. I hope I can pronounce it. Rodriguez. I'm not good at pronouncing that name. That's why I always called Ricardo back in the day, Alberto Del Rio's old manager. I might just call her Raquel because I'm not good at pronouncing that last name. I preferred Gonzalez, but again, they wanted to own the name, and her real last name is Gonzalez, so they changed it up. And she was interrupted by Los Lotharios. They wanted a kiss from her, but she said not a chance. So at least up to this point, she is not on board with Los Lotharios. But will that change? We'll have to wait and see. We had Happy Talk with Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. And before that, Caleb Jacobs sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Caleb. Says, I don't even care about Gunther's name changes. Why? Maybe because WWE has just made you desensitized to anything that happens, because we all know that these guys get on the main roster and then 6 months later, they could very well end up being gone from the company. I think maybe that's why you don't care at this point. Corbin and Madcap Moss. Happy Corbin was not happy, man. He lost to Drew McIntyre, and he blamed Madcap Moss for the loss, saying that Moss distracted him. Moss apologized, and Corbin was not satisfied. He said, Moss is getting too big for his suspenders. He's there to tell jokes, and Corbin wanted a joke. Moss gave him a joke. Corbin did not like it. Moss did another one. Corbin again did not like it, said all of his jokes have been terrible lately. And he said he wants a funny joke. Like Madcap Moss's job depends on it. And Moss said, who is a guy that treats his friends like garbage? Happy Corbin. Corbin, of course, as you might expect, was not thrilled with this. He attacked his former friend, Madcap Moss, but Moss fought back and sent Corbin packing. So yeah, looks like this duo is done. Babyface turn for Madcap Moss. Can he drop the Madcap gimmick and just be Riddick Moss and get rid of the suspenders? Let's hope so. I do think the guy has potential, but the comedy gimmick has to go. Maybe they'll give him a more serious tone and we could see where it goes. A $5 super chat came in from my man, Hamp Connell. Says, instead of the same old thing from WWE, how about being creative? Have Drew arrested for attempted murder after swinging that stupid sword at them. The storyline's over. Drew McIntyre's moved on. Corbin's doing the storyline with Moss. They're not going to do that. And besides, if you arrest Drew McIntyre for attempted murder, then you have to arrest half of the WWE roster for committing felonies over the past year or so. What about all the kidnaps, and what about retribution, vandalizing property, all these wacky things that have happened over the years? Milwaukee crowd was really good, as Michael Wayne points out. This was a hot crowd. Definitely helped the atmosphere and made the storylines a bit more intriguing, even if they are ridiculous at times. We had Jinder Mahal backstage wanting an Intercontinental Championship match, but then Ronda Rousey showed up, Mahal left, and she asked Adam Pearce about the I Quit match, and he said that she should get an answer tomorrow. So I guess we have to wait for WWE social media to announce something about it. Whatever. By the way, Jinder Mahal will be getting an IC title match next week against Ricochet. Boy, oh boy, I cannot wait for that one, guys. I think it's in Connecticut. You guys are getting a banger there. Jinder Mahal versus Ricochet. We had Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn. And the story of this match was Sami Zayn was a coward. He kept slipping to the outside of the ring. McIntyre would go after him, throw him back in. Zayn would slip to the outside again. Zayn would try to leave. McIntyre would go after him, throw him back in the ring. Went for the Claymore, but Zayn avoided it. Went to the outside again, jumped through the barricade, went through the crowd, and got counted out. So that was that. And then they announced that there will be a rematch next week. Sami Zayn will have to face his fears when he goes against Drew McIntyre again. Basically filler. Just something for Drew McIntyre to do. And who knows what they're going to do with Sami Zayn at this point. Whatever. Time filler. Not much more to say about it. We had a recap of the Pat McAfee WrestleMania stuff. Lots of video packages on this show. And Walter said it's Massachusetts, not Connecticut. There you go. My bad. We had a Lacey Evans backstage promo. Lacey Evans is back from her pregnancy, and she is apparently dropping the sassy Southern Belle character. She cut a total babyface promo. She talked about her rough upbringing, the addiction of her father, and how her mother took the family and they moved from place to place. She said she wasn't blessed like some of the other women in WWE. She had to go through rough times, but she said that all of that made her who she is. Talked about being a United States Marine, WWE superstar. Doesn't make her better than the other superstars, but makes her a better person. It was a good promo. I like it. And I think the change is good for her to drop that character. And no reference to Ric Flair, thankfully. So, yeah, it was good. Definitely seems like they're going to try to give her a big run here. I'm all for it. We had Sasha Banks versus Liv Morgan. And you had Naomi at ringside. Liv Morgan was interviewed. She said she was there on SmackDown because she wants some momentum heading into Monday's Raw when her and Rhea Ripley challenge for the tag team titles. Anyways, Sasha Banks hit a frog splash, but Liv kicked out. You had Shayna Baszler and Natalya watching sideways. It was a back and forth match here. Both women got knocked down at one point, and then Sasha went for a superplex. She hit it, but then Liv used the momentum to counter it into a pinfall and scored, I guess, the biggest win of her career, an upset victory over the former women's champion Sasha Banks to get her momentum heading into Monday's Raw. I mean, whatever. I mean, it was a one-on-one match, but still, your champion is losing heading into Monday. And I do not think we will have new champs, but hey, whatever works to build up Liv Morgan as a contender, I guess so be it. Hamp Connell with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate the super chats. Says, I just hate when they have them cut these personal stories when they're supposed to be a badass. They did the same crap with Ryback. Well, I liked this because she does have that vibe of just being a really strong personality and overcoming the odds, kind of like a female John Cena in a way. I thought it was a really good promo if you're talking about the Lacey Evans promo. And I think people will respect her for it. Knowing her real life story and using that as part of a storyline. I like it. I think it was a good promo. Caleb Jacobs with a $2 super chat says, Jinder better not win 2017 a living hell again. Well, thank you, Caleb. And this is not him winning the WWE title if he does win. He might, but I'm thinking no. if he does win, it's not as bad as him winning the WWE title, that's for sure. And who really cares about the IC title at this point? So if he wins it, is it really that big of a deal? Like, I care so little about the IC title that if Jinder won, I'd be like, fine, whatever, man. Like, I just don't care anymore. We had our main event segment of the evening. Roman Reigns coming to the ring to let us know what's next for the bloodline and him. We had another recap shown because we need that recap. He said that being on SmackDown and being the Universal Champion was not enough. He had to smash Cowboy Brock, take the WWE title, said there's not much more to do. But there's plenty left for the bloodline to achieve. Not necessarily him, but the bloodline as a whole. And he said that the cousins, Jimmy and Jay, only have those 2 titles. Roman Reigns wants them to unify the tag team titles and wants the bloodline to have all of the gold. Shinsuke Nakamura arrived. No Rick Boogs, unfortunately, due to the injury, the torn quad. And Reigns said that he understands what Shin is going through. He mentioned Rick Boogs, said that they lost Jimmy Uso to a knee injury for over a year. And he gave Nakamura a hug. Nakamura was very confused, but it was like the mafia kiss of death. Instead of the kiss, Nakamura got the hug, and then bam, the Usos laid out poor Shinsuke Nakamura with a super kick. And then the Usos started talking about going to Detroit, Michigan, which is the site of this Monday's Raw. I guess we're getting the Unified Tag Team Titles match this Monday on Raw. If they're really going to unify the titles, I'm all for it. If it's some kind of cheap ratings ploy, then I'm going to be grumpy. I'm going to complain about it and just take it like a bitch. Let's see here. Carlos Gomez sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it. It says, the Bloodline versus Imperium would have been money. Now, not so much. A name change ruins the mystique of a character. Gunther doesn't look intimidating. I prefer Walter, but the name is not the worst name change I've ever seen. I wish he had his own music, though. And again, like I said, if they had just changed the name like from the beginning, I would have been okay. But the fact that they waited all this time to change the name just doesn't feel right, because we've been used to him with a certain name for so long. I mean, I think we'll get used to it over time, if he even lasts in WWE for a long time. But I think we'll get over it at some point. And Hamp Connell sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. I appreciate it. It says, do you realize the next time we see Roman will be 2 weeks after Mania and 3 weeks from Backlash? And they have no path for the WWE Universal title. Yeah, good point there, Hamp. I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe it's going to be Nakamura and they're just using Backlash as a filler pay-per-view for Roman Reigns. We'll see. If they have Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte, that could be the main event, since it wasn't the main event at WrestleMania, and they just do Roman Reigns versus Nakamura. That would not surprise me. I mean, that was the only kind of tease for Roman Reigns. Maybe Nakamura tries to get his revenge and go after Roman. They never did the Roman Reigns versus Nakamura match last year when Nakamura had all that momentum. So yeah, maybe Nakamura gets his shot. Ain't gonna win, but like Cesaro, he'll get to have a pay-per-view match and a pay-per-view payday with the tribal chief Roman Reigns. He'll be on the island of relevancy. And Patrick with the $5 super chat says, do you think this is Shinsuke getting a title shot? I think so, but at the same time, Would not shock me if we never see Nakamura go near Roman Reigns again, if this was just something for Roman to do and something for Shin to do as a 1 week thing and they got other plans. I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point. But hey, you know what? I'm all for Nakamura getting a pay-per-view payday and having a good match with Roman. Will not win the title. The problem is there's very few guys. Even a year ago, Nakamura would not have been taken seriously as a possible new champion to dethrone Roman Reigns, and especially now. Like, there are very few guys that can face Roman Reigns at this point, and anybody's going to think that that person has a chance of ending Roman's 500 and whatever day run as champion. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, I love Nakamura. Don't get me wrong, but don't push him to Roman. Dude can't beat Sami Zayn. We're supposed to suspend our disbelief for him now. Yeah, they should have done it a year ago. Nakamura, they did that gauntlet with him, which was originally for Cesaro, but they changed it. They need to do something. Like if Nakamura won another gauntlet match or something like that, or some kind of big match, then yeah, I think maybe it would be a little bit easier to suspend disbelief. And responding to this comment, where's Brock Lesnar? Brock Lesnar's at home. But apparently he was advertised for Backlash and one of the other pay-per-views. I'm not sure if it's Hell in a Cell or something, but Lesnar should be coming back relatively soon. It's just a matter of where they position him. Would not shock me if he does get one more opportunity at Reigns and they do one final match. I know people are like, enough already, but I would not be surprised. And as far as Jacob's comment, do I think the Usos will win the Raw Tag Team titles? They might. I'm all for the unification. If it's a legitimate unification, I'm actually cool with it. And I'd be fine with Roman Reigns being the undisputed champion, but I'm still not convinced that they're actually going to go through with it. I still feel like Roman's going to be Becky 2 belts and he's going to drop the title at some point, drop the WWE title and stay Universal Champion. But yeah, I could see Roman facing somebody like Nakamura at Backlash, and then Brock Lesnar comes back, Hell in a Cell. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar one more time, Hell in a Cell. I could see that happening, and Nakamura would just be a buffer opponent. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte headlines the next pay-per-view. I could see that scenario. Anyways, guys, that was SmackDown. Show was decent. I would probably go with a B-. We had a couple debuts. We had Lacey Evans returning. It was a fairly eventful show. Some filler. Too many recaps, in my opinion, but that's post-WrestleMania for you. I'd give it a B-. I would somewhat recommend the show. Hamp Connell gave it an F-. No surprise there. Got a $11 super chat from Carlos. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it. Says, Liv Morgan and Sasha Banks, two of the best women's wrestlers. Liv Morgan improved so much since the Riot Squad days, and Sasha Banks is a legend with or without a title. Good match between them. There was a comment from Facebook. I'm not knocking Liv Morgan. Nothing against her whatsoever. I'm just not a fan of doing these matches where somebody already has a title match and then they're beating the champion when it's not necessary and when the champions just won the titles. Like, I'm not a fan of that booking. It doesn't have to be Liv Morgan in the equation. It could be anybody. I'm just not a fan of that style. Like, I'd rather Liv Morgan beat somebody else. Like, they're not doing anything with Shotzi right now, so hell, have Liv Morgan beat Shotzi or one of the other women that are on SmackDown that have no storyline right now. At least get them on TV and they could put over the people that are in a storyline. Just something to give Liv Morgan a win heading into Raw. I would prefer that over her beating Sasha Banks. Like, it just doesn't really accomplish much, in my opinion. It doesn't really help either side, I think. Like, Yeah, she beat Sasha, but it was a roll-up. Anyways, we'll move on here. DJW is here. He sent in a $9.99 super chat. Thank you very much for that, DJ. I appreciate it. It says, thank you, Aaron, for putting the highly anticipated debate matchup between Mo Camera and Virtue together. Unfortunately, Mo didn't know what he was walking into, as I felt Virtue verbally destroyed him. LOL. Mo Camera was great. I thought he did a really good job. We had a nice civil discussion. I was a little scared. To be totally honest with you guys, I was half thinking that no DQ review was going to be a train wreck. But everybody behaved. We had a good discussion. And Mo Camera's definitely welcomed back on a no DQ panel. If you guys missed it, you could check it out. YouTube.com/Aaron Rift No DQ. The latest episode of the No DQ review is available on demand for your viewing pleasure. Hamp Connell sent in a $2 super chat, says, what will it take for wrestling to be good again? If you don't think wrestling is good now, then I hate to say it, but there's probably not too much that will make you like it. It's probably as good as it's going to get for a very long time. Just saying. If you don't like wrestling now, you probably should find something else to watch. I mean, you got AEW. They're doing well. WWE's doing well. WWE's very profitable. They have no reason to change what they're doing. AEW is doing well. The wrestling business is thriving. I don't think they're going to make any drastic changes from what you've been seeing. If you don't like it now, I would not hold your breath waiting for some kind of change. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news and rumors. Have a great weekend, everybody. We get a nice weekend to relax after a very busy WrestleMania weekend. And I will be back Monday night after Raw in Detroit, Michigan. I don't think I will be there, but one way or another, I will give my thoughts on the show. So make sure you guys tune in. Have a great weekend, like I said. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com. See you guys next time.